Hey guys, Ken here from Backpacking Light, and today I'm going to talk about the new Gramjakt ultralight quilt. Now this quilt is the large wide version, -6 degree comfort, and I'll just go ahead and go through some of the details. You can see this is kind of how you get it. It's this nice little mesh stuff sack so that your down gets a nice, gets to breathe properly. Now, some of the first down quilts we sent out, they were actually still wrapped up pretty tight and compressed. So you need to take that out and shake it around a bit to get it out nice and neat. And then this is how you store it. Or you can have it hanging up on a hook as well. And actually my quilts, most of my sleeping bags, I've never even used a compression sack. I have one that I've had for about 10 years now that I've never used in a stuff sack. I just squish it down at the bottom of my tent or backpack and then take it out when I use it, and then when I'm home I just throw it up in a shelf and it's a stuff sack or carrying sack. So this is the quilt. This is, like I said, the large wide version. I'll go ahead and start with that opened up. There we go. Now in the stuff sack or in the package that you buy, you get 3 of these kind of straps, 2 of them on the quilt and 1 extra. You may even have a 3rd one up at the top, but it's not supposed to be there. It was just something weird, so you just take that off. Those are the straps. I'll get to those later. And you also get a compression stuff sack if you're going to use those. Like I said, I never use compression stuff sacks, but some people do. So now this is how the quilt looks. You see it's got nice down coverage. Maybe we can, hard to see it in the sunlight actually, but it's got a bit of overstuff. On the large wide, I believe there's 511 grams of down, RDS 850 QN down. So it's a really good quality down for what you get. And you can also see that it's got these long baffles on the upper part of your body, and then it has the sideways baffles along your feet. It's also up top. It's around 140 centimeters. It's actually, if you stretch it out, it's 147, but because of the down feel in it, when it's, you know, puffed up like it's supposed to be, then of course that's going to shrink a bit as the material gets rounded instead of just straight flat. So that's what it looks like as a blanket. At your feet it's about 120 as a blanket, and up top it's about 140, which is standard for your large wide quilts from just about any factory. And then you want to put that together. It's got, for the foot box, my quilt's getting all dirty here showing this, but that's alright. It has this nice little zipper, which pretty standard on most of these kind of ultralight quilts that turn into blankets as well. Yeah, so once you zip that up, and then you have this one buckle to protect that zipper instead of several buttons. Just makes it a little easier there. And then on the bottom we have, go ahead and open that up a bit. Now you can either have it completely open like this if you're a hot sleeper like me, or while you're laying in your sleeping bag, because the cinch cord is up top instead of underneath your feet, you can easily just cinch and adjust that while you're still in your bag. And it's got this little draft collar. It's not the biggest, but it does exactly what it's supposed to do, and that's stop the drafts. And then you just pull that closed, and you've got yourself a nice tight fit. Now you can put like a little finger in there, but because of that draft collar, it doesn't matter. It's really, you're not going to get a quilt that's going to completely close that off unless it has draft collars, and that's kind of what you see here. Show that up close. That's just how it looks when it's closed, and you can see that that's nice and tight, and you're going to be nice, warm and toasty in there, and especially with that draft collar and the extra amount of dew, you're not going to have any problems there. Now it has three more buckles. These two buckles here, that's for your sleeping mat. And this one here is also for your sleeping mat, the one that's in the middle. Now you can put those together, but that's not how it's built, and that's going to be really tight on you. Obviously, it's not a sleeping bag. This is a quilt, so it's the quilt that goes around you like you would a blanket. You're not going to wrap yourself up in a blanket like you would in a sleeping bag. Now, this part here goes around your neck, and there's a little bit of space there, and that's that you can have your pillow in there, or whatever else you want in there. But you can also cinch that down, so that's going to keep you nice and toasty as well. Pretty simple, basic quilt in that sense. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. Now I'll go ahead and strap that on to the sleeping pad so that you can kind of get an idea of how it looks when it's on the sleeping pad. Now, personally, like how I think you should use a quilt is never even bother with the straps. I mean, what's the point of having all the freedom of a quilt if you're just going to strap yourself in to where you actually have less freedom than a sleeping bag? Because once that's strapped into your quilt, then, or your sleeping pad, then of course you're stuck onto your sleeping pad. It's nice when you toss and turn at night and it kind of stays in place, but it's the same thing if you use it as a blanket without the straps. But that's my opinion. I just like being able to, get up. I don't like feeling strapped into stuff. But with that said, obviously you can, let me fix this here. So I'll go ahead and put those straps on. Now, like I said, it's just two straps here. You're not gonna, one popular way that people do this is that they'll actually only strap one onto the sleeping mat itself and actually just put this in between, and you can kind of, yeah, there we go. Nope, not there. Here's where you adjust it. So that's certainly one way you can do it, and then, because you don't really need much more than that if you need straps at all. So go ahead and, so you have that strap there, and then that just kind of keeps it tight without being too tight. And then you put the other strap let's see, these are different in case you want to put those together, but I wouldn't suggest that because, like I said earlier, it'd be way too tight. So let's go ahead and put that strap on, and that'll fit most sleeping mats. So, and that one snaps in there, and that one snaps in there, and that's all there is to it. I'll go ahead and get in there so I'll kind of give you an idea. Just open up that one. It's really hot today, so I don't want to be in my sleeping mat or quilt too long. And then you can just snap that into place. There we go. And that's it. You just adjust that how tight you want it on you. And then that'll stay on there with no issue at all. And then, of course, a little bit chillier nights, then you just, I don't know how much this is being seen in the video, but what I'll do, go ahead and get out and kind of show you. Yeah. So you can either strap that directly onto your sleeping mat or do as I do here. And then that just, it gives you a little bit more flexibility in your legs, because if you're like me, a side sleeper, and my legs will just be all over the place in the tent. So That's usually how I like to have it if I'm going to have straps at all. But that, of course, you can adjust to even on your sleeping mat if you want both straps on there. So that's one way of doing it. And the other strap, it just holds everything into place here, and you have that little button, and then this goes around your neck. When you got that on, then you can just cinch that down as well, and that'll be nice and snug around your neck, but it'll have a little bit of space under your neck where you can kind of squeeze in a pillow or something else if you want there. But yeah, it'll keep you nice and toasty. So I'll go ahead and show some up close video of those straps there just to give you an idea. Or actually, I'll go ahead and get in to give you an idea. I'm 190 centimeters tall and I weigh about 95 kilos, so I'm a big guy, and I definitely need large wide. And you can see in this that this quilt is definitely enough quilt for me anyway. And this is a large wide, and I would say that this works for users up to about 194 centimeters. My colleague Marcus, he's 197 and about 100 kilos. It works for him, but it's a little tight around his shoulders because he's a little broader than me, but it works for him as well. But I say 194 instead of 197. Now, this works. It goes right there where it's supposed to be, so you can definitely see that that covers me nicely. Yeah, that foot box nice and tight with that draft collar in there. Get one strap, and most of the time I don't even use this strap up here just because I like to have that being able to get up in the morning and have my coffee without having to, you know, fight with my sleeping pad. And this is how I have the other strap, which is right there. There's probably a sexier way of doing that, but I think that works for me. So if I even have a strap at the legs, and then of course the foot box. So hopefully that gives you a nice overview of the Gramjakt quilt. Now Gramjakt, if you don't know, means Gram Hunter in Swedish. And this is just a well-made quilt. Nice amount of down loft in there. A good price because there's no middlemen. It goes straight from the factory. So just a good overall quilt for the money. Hope you like my little overview here. Let me know what you think. Cheers.